Today, a fiery start for a United Airlines jetliner taking off from Washington's Dulles Airport, bound for Tokyo.
275 passengers, 15 crew were on board a United Airlines flight here, taking off from Dulles.
The 777 jet, like this one, lost the use of one of its engines during liftoff. The incident sparked multiple brush fires near the runway.
This is the worst possible timing to lose an engine, followed by split-second precision by an
But no, this is YouTube, Captain Steve. I'm gonna watch his video because I'd rather watch people like him than watch the actual media, just because he's a actual pilot and he knows what he's talking about, just like any other pilot would if they're good at doing what they do. And I actually trust what he says. He's not biased or anything. He just sees it as it is. So that's why I like watching it when he talks about stuff like this. But yeah, I actually drive through Dulles on a once a week basis, I want to say, and sometimes I listen to the not the actual radios from the plane. I listen to the P25 stuff that they have, like the police, baggage handlers, maintenance, things like that. I can actually get them through my SDR that's over here. That's right there. And the antenna is on top of the air conditioner, just a 800 megahertz. Well, it's actually a cellular paddle antenna, but it does work very well for picking it up and being on top of the air conditioner, on top of a piece of sheet metal. It really picks up good. So that's why. But yeah, I didn't know that this happened. I probably was sleeping at the time that this happened, or I must have been busy doing something else. But after I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's fucking nuts,
Experienced crew. United 803 saves the day out of Dulles. Let's take a look.
That's pretty cool graphics.
Okay, this begins the master class in how to do it right. United 803 is the only player that we're going to look at here in this incident. They're flying a Boeing 777-200, an airplane that I've got thousands of hours of experience on, and they're flying to a place that I just was last week. They're on their way to Tokyo.
I know, right?
And
I'm like literally there every week too, just driving through there.
Legs that this 777-200 can achieve from Washington, D.C., essentially, Dulles Airport, all the way over to Haneda. These guys lose an engine on the runway, and they lose it after V1. Now, we know that V1 is that go, no-go speed, where once you get past it, you must go airborne. You cannot stop the airplane in the runway remaining in front of you. So they keep rolling down the runway. In fact, there's a video that we'll take a look at here in a second of the grass off the side of the runway on fire because of the flames that were coming out of this engine.
Yeah, it started brush fire.
Engine. We're going to hear that in a minute.
I did hear about that too.
After they lose the engine and they want to climb straight out, we're trained like that every 9 months for my entire career. I did exactly this same scenario. Heavy gross weight airplane loses an engine on rotate, and what do? They follow the book with precision. Let's listen.
United 803 Heavy, if you want to come right back to the field, we can get you 19 right. If you want to make a 180 back to 19 right, or... No, we'll get back, we're getting 19 left. We'll get back, we got 803.
Okay, so you get the...
Yeah, I forgot which one is 19R and 19L at Dulles. I keep forgetting. I mean, Dulles is a big area. It encompasses quite a bit. You got Route 606, you got Route 50, Loudon County Parkway, and Route 28. It's basically in that area. Like, if you drive around Dulles, you're doing about maybe 12 miles around or something like that. It's quite a bit.
Short response from United 803. What the controller is telling.
But yeah, give me a second here. Okay, I'm back.
telling them is you can do a teardrop. You can go out, turn around, and come back the opposite direction. Are you in that much of a panic? They're not. They're not in that much of a panic. The 777 will fly just fine on one engine. They're busy flying the airplane. They want to make sure that they continue to climb. They're probably waiting for 400 feet. Once they get to 400 feet, they can start to work their checklist. Once they work the checklist, they can get to their engine out speed, which is probably 800 or so feet above the field elevation. The next thing after that is to get the airplane cleaned up. Let's get the flaps up. They've already got the gear up, but they're starting to accelerate. Number one priority at this moment, they want to fly the airplane. They're not really interested in talking to anybody. The rule of thumb goes like this from day one as a pilot. It's aviate, navigate, communicate in that order. Right now, they're in the middle of aviating. This is an experienced crew. I can tell you, the United Airlines from Dulles to Tokyo has got to be one of the most senior crews on the planet. And
Yeah.
so these guys know what they're doing.
That's a
They're on
pretty-
the
pretty good
block
distance.
several times. And so they're real kind of short.
I wonder how he does that.
But for good reason, they're really busy.
If it's a green screen or something, I don't know.
United 803 Heavy, low altitude alert, you're at 1,000 and 4 times. Do you know what you'd like to do? Pay attention. I'll come back to Dallas Vegas, United 803 Heavy, do you want to just do an immediate return back for 19 knots? Go put me in the holding pattern for 1 right, please. United 803 Heavy, Roger. Can you, are you good going to departure and having them revector, or do you want me to stay this frequency? Stay this frequency, I'm busy.
Okay, stay this frequency. I'm busy. All right, that's an experienced pilot talking to you. This guy's saying, "Look, I don't have time to talk to you about all the alternatives. I just told you I wanted to go straight out, and yeah, I know I'm kind of low. Just keep talking to me, but I can see outside." They're going to say in a minute they're in visual conditions. They can see what's in front of them, so they're not going to run into anything. But this airplane is real heavy, and so the climb is real slow as they're going out. So they want to make sure that they don't stall the airplane, get it too slow. So they're right.
Yeah, heavy means
climbing out. But again,
they're loaded with a lot of fuel for the
minimum conversation that top
for
controller wants a little
for
bit
the
more.
long distance flight. They always account for
They're busy flying the airplane.
for the mileage needed, and then a little bit of extra just in case anything else comes up. So
I wouldn't. I say I'm going straight out until I get this airplane cleaned up.
United 803 Heavy, Roger. Advise when you'd like to make your turn back towards the airport.
I will.
We'll keep you advised.
We'll keep you advised. This guy, he's talking my language here.
United 803 Heavy, just be advised the MVA in your area is 2,000. We're climbing United 803 visual.
We're visual. Yeah, you heard the voice change just now. All right, it's the other pilot.
United 803 Heavy, you're nearing the MVA area that will be 2,500. Can I give you a turn back towards the airport to keep you in the next? Go ahead, sir. You can give us a turn. I'm sorry, say again, sir. Go ahead, sir. You can give us a turn. United 803 Heavy, turn right, heading 130. Right turn.
Okay, so he gives him a turn to 130, and you notice that there was a little bit of back and forth on that, and why didn't he hear it the first time? Everybody's listening real intently. Well, the cockpit crew is completely focused on flying the airplane and now doing their checklist and getting the airplane cleaned up and making sure that whatever the fire or the issue was on that left engine is taken care of. That's an even higher priority.
Yep.
You want to make sure that the fire's out. So they're fighting the fire, they're flying the airplane, they're trying to communicate with this guy, and they're tooling out now, and they're starting to get into some higher elevation.
yeah, on I can't say for all planes, but I know for a fact that on most, probably 99.9% of planes have a fire handle. It's a red T-shaped handle, or maybe something could be a button, but I think it's a T-shaped handle, and there's one for each like engine. So let's say you got 4 engines, you're gonna have 4 handles. Got 2 engines, you got 2 handles, and when you pull it, or it's like a lever, you pull it down. It depends on the setup, but it does cut off the fuel. It should cut off the electrical, and it might even set off like a fire extinguisher charge or something too, like a CO2 or something, or halon or whatever. It's gonna be more heavier than air and kill the oxygen to the fire, because you gotta remember that that aviation fuels, I think is what, JP8 or JP9 or something like that. It's a very light kerosene type of fuel, so it's actually a diesel distillant.
So yeah, it's time to turn around and come back. But somebody stepped on the radio. Somebody else was trying to talk at the same time that they were trying to talk. Again, it's an archaic system, the radios. We need to update the air traffic control system with new updated stuff. Less talking on the radios for just this very reason. They're going to start a turn now back to the south.
130. Madam, 803 heavy, turn further right, heading 180. 180.
That's all you get, the bare minimum, 180. That's all he has to say.
United 803 heavy, I know that you have high workload, but it's able to stay sold on board and fuel remaining. We got that 16 hours of fuel sold on board at 290. Take me out to
Wow.
the marker 185,000 feet, ready to dump some gas.
Okay, so the captain just told him everything he needed to know. 290 souls on board. We got 16 hours worth of gas. I want to go out to the marker. What's the marker? It's one of the initial approach fixes. It's got a name. I think it's, in this case, it's called EERS. It's EERRS. He's going to take him out there in a little bit. But I want to go out there. I want to go up to 5,000 feet. Why 5,000 feet? So I can dump fuel. Now, the decision to dump fuel is a decision that doesn't... Not every flight is always going to dump fuel. That's a decision that they're talking about in the cockpit right now. But these guys are so heavy that when they go in and they look in the iPad at the landing distance, their rollout distance on the runway, it's uncomfortable at best. They might not have enough runway to stop, and it's uncomfortable taking that much runway. All right, the airplane's flying fine now. We got the fire out. We're down to one engine. We're climbing out. Let's go ahead and dump fuel. It's going to take a little bit of time to do that, but it's a trade-off, and that's the experienced pilot makes that decision, right? That wisdom and that maturity that comes over, tens of thousands of hours of experience is the main factor in this point for the captain to make the decision. Yep, we're going to dump fuel and lighten ship and remain airborne for a little bit longer. At the very end of this, there's a reason that he wanted to dump fuel. You'll see what that is when we get to the end.
Yeah.
So you said you want to go to the marker at 5,000 to runway 1 right to set you up to the approach. Is that correct, sir? That's correct. And the next time to 5,000 feet, and we'll dump gas when we get there. And you want to dump fuel at 5,000. I'd like to go to altitude first.
Yeah, I'd like to go to the altitude first. You can't really do it below 5,000. There's restrictions.
3 heavy, climb maintain 5,000, flighting 190, and fuel dump at your discretion at that altitude. Direct 190, climb to 5,000, fuel dump at your discretion at 803.
Now, in an emergency, you could dump anywhere, but you don't want to dump until you get to 5,000 because the fuel at above 5,000 feet, the fuel will dissipate. It won't make it back down to the earth, and so you're not killing somebody's farm or neighborhood or something like that. So they're conscious of that. But now you can hear their
it still comes down to the earth. There's no doubt about it. It's just microscopic particles at that point, but it still comes down and we still breathe it in,
Right into it. These guys are all over. This is fantastic.
You had an 803 heavy. Are you able to change frequencies now?
Yep.
You had an 803 heavy, Roger. The altitude to maintain is 5,000, heading 200 now, 200 heading, and contact Potomac on 125.8. 25.8, direct to 200, United to 803. United 803, Mayday aircraft, 3.5.
Yep, still climbing up to 5,000 feet, checking in with a new frequency.
I wish I was there. I wish I was hearing it on the radio. That would have been really cool to hear all this and to record it. That would have been really awesome. But my SDR there is not going to pick up. I'm not going to be able to pick up these. I would need a disc cone antenna or something.
They're trying to sequence this aircraft back in They want to know how long that corridor into those runways is going to be clobbered because they got an airplane that's dumping fuel, right? So you can't really put anybody underneath of them. And in addition to that, the captain doesn't know exactly how long, but once he starts the dump, the computer actually tells him how long it's going to take for him to dump down to the fuel level that he wants to dump down to. So he's not going to dump all of his fuel. He's just going to dump some of it, probably the stuff in the center tank, right? He's going to get as much of that as he possibly can to lighten the ship. And then the computer on the ICAS screen right in front of you, right there, says exactly how long it's going to take to do. 20 minutes is a pretty good guess. It's probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes altogether would be my guess. So here he goes. He's climbing up to 5,000 feet, going out.
United 803 Heavy F3, got a bunch of questions asked, but if you could, which engine was it that went out? Sorry, where's your voice again? Which engine went out? Left engine. We are dumping fuel right now. Thank you.
All right, so they started into the fuel dump. He told me it's the left engine.
Heavy, if you could, fuel remaining and...
One more time.
Persons on board. 290, the souls on board and fuel right now is at 15 hours, 15 hours.
Shockingly, this isn't the last time they're going to ask him for souls on board in the fuel station. It's one of those things where everybody you talk to's got paperwork that they got to fill out. So it's kind of a distraction in a sense from flying the airplane. These guys are now working a bunch of checklists, right? They haven't even gotten to the overweight landing checklist. That's way off in their future. Right now, they've done the engine shutdown checklist. They're doing the fuel dumping checklist. They're dumping fuel. They want to make sure they do that right. All right. Next is they want to talk to the flight attendants and they got to talk to the passengers. In addition to that, they got to talk to dispatch at their own company to tell them what their intentions are, where they're going to go back. And there may be some advice coming from dispatch about where to go and what to do. So all of that stuff is stuff that they factor in addition to flying the airplane, in addition to doing all the checklists to put the fire out, right? So, this is busy stuff, right? This is why pilots get paid the big bucks.
And just verify, heard the persons on board 290.
290. There you go. And so the fire folks back on the ground now.
United 803 Heavy, just curious, would it be beneficial at all for me to put you on one of the points on the localizer for one right and give you a holding with turns and light length to your discretion? Yeah, I'd be fine with me. I just be probably 10 or 15 miles plus on the gas. I just don't want to set the holding better on the gas. Hey, roger that. So you said you'll try only need another 10, 15 miles?
That's what he said.
No, it's like give me 10 or 15 mile legs with all those items.
Okay. So why does he want 10 or 15 mile legs? A normal holding pattern is 1 minute. It's defined by 1 minute, which isn't nearly 10 or 15 miles. And so you're just kind of circling like this all the time. Well, you're dumping fuel in one really concentrated spot and kind of, in a sense, you could be flying into your own fuel that you dumped. So 10 or 15 miles is just, it stretches out the holding pattern. So you're going to go 10 or 15 miles this way, and then you're going to turn around and come back in, and then 10 or 15 miles this way. And that way the fuel has plenty of time to dissipate. You're not flying into your own fuel. It gives you plenty of time to get stuff done. You're not constantly turning, right? Every time you're turning, it takes some attention away from the other things that you need to get done. And I just gave you about a half a dozen things that they're all doing at the same time. Meanwhile, they have to go into their iPad and figure out this overweight landing. So they're dumping fuel right now.
He does make sense there when he says 10. I would say 20 miles would be on the safe side, to be honest. And that means that he could be going over Manassas, Front Royal, back up into maybe Leesburg, and then come back around over Fairfax and come back towards Manassas again. So basically, in that area of Northern Virginia, could be circling around at, but 5,000 feet up. So less than a mile. I think a mile is 5,100 some feet, I think. So he's about a mile up.
All of this just took place 2 days ago. All right, so they get into the holding pattern. They're doing the 10 to 15 mile legs. As they're dumping fuel. It's going to take a little longer than 20 minutes. Right. So we fast forwarded for you here a little bit to get done with the fuel dumping part.
And do you want an ILS or visual?
ILS. Yeah. That's not even a question. I'm not going to take a visual in an emergency like this. Now listen to this. He calls him nothing.
Mayday, Mayday. United 803.
Hold on to that listen.
Yes, sir. We're turning inbound towards Sears. We are ready for the ILS to one right. Mayday 3 Heavy, Roger. The Mayday is from, you're still in emergency status, correct? Correct. No, you did not answer us, so we want to get your attention.
Okay. This is why I say this is a master class in how to do this thing. All right. These guys are priority number one for everybody they're talking to. Everybody ought to be sitting up at full attention when United 803 chimes in. You want to be all over it and you want to respond to them right away and you want to give them everything they want, right? Because you got 290 souls on board this airplane, and he calls them and he gets nothing. Now, in defense of Potomac, ATC, somebody might have stepped on that transmission and they didn't hear it. But then the captain comes back, or whoever's on the radio at this point comes back and says, Mayday, Mayday. All right? That'll get your attention. So if you weren't really paying 100% attention and you hear Mayday again, it's like, what did I just hear? It wakes you up out of that kind of stupor. We don't need anybody at this moment to be in any sort of a stupor. We need everybody on their A game, and this guy nicely, gently, professionally, he kind of pokes a little bit, and the guy comes back and says, is it another emergency? He goes, no, I just need to get your attention. You didn't respond to me. He says he's going to come back and say, well, I didn't hear you the first time. That's fine. That's just the way we get your attention. All right, great, awesome. I would have done the same thing.
That was the first call I heard up. We're turning back in. You said you are ready to land now? We are, sir. Yes.
Yes. Everybody's real
We
clear.
are ready for the ILS to one right.
I want to know where they get these graphics from. I really do. Because that's pretty awesome. If this is really Dulles and everything, that's pretty awesome.
Anyways, they phone up people.
We have over 10 hours of fuel remaining, 146,000 pounds on board.
That's a lot of fuel.
Damn, yeah.
But it's a lot less than they had a few minutes ago. Okay, now, did you hear that little buzz in the radio? Right, he says, clear direct ears and the ILS to one right. He said, and you heard that little buzz? That was another airplane on the frequency talking to Potomac. Now, they don't know when the other airplane's going to key up their mic or when Potomac's going to key up their mic, but they're talking on top of each other. So now the emergency aircraft doesn't hear it. That's why I keep saying we've got to update the system to do more data link stuff, more texting rather than talking on the radio. They could have sent that clearance up to that airplane right on the box in front of them, and they could look at it in print and hit accept, right? And that's all they need to do. They don't need to talk on the radio to accept this clearance, but they didn't hear it. Why? Because somebody else was keying the mic at the same time. It's an old system that needs to get.
Yeah, he's talking about the ACARS thing on the console. It's basically the ACARS, and I've actually picked up ACARS on the SDR there and using PDW on the computer there. So you just find the ACARS frequencies and then you launch PDW, and yeah, there's a little more to it, but it's the simplified version of how I said it.
Fixed. Okay, let's go. Let's see how they do it. Blocked. So again, that blocked call from another aircraft was, hey, I think I stepped on you, or you can tell that somebody stepped on somebody else. The next person on the radio just go blocked, and then ATC will repeat what they said, which it works, but it's unnecessary. These guys are on the way inbound now.
United 803 Heavy, 9 miles from Treya, so Treya 5,000, clear to ILS approach, runway 1 right. Treya 5,000, clear to ILS 1 right.
There's another twist yet to come after they touch down.
Potomac United Silver. One path along the tower. We plan to roll out the full length of the runway and probably get off at Julius 1 on the left.
I wonder if that's 28 or not.
Yeah, really good on the part of these.
That's got to be 28.
The experience matters.
I really hope that's an accurate graphic. I mean, the video here,
Switching towers.
because that would be so awesome.
Tower United 803, emergency addresses, fire left 1 right, we plan to roll up to the full end of the runway, get on the Juliet 1. United 803 Heavy Dallas Tower, Roger, wind 2204, runway 1 right, cleared to land, and yes, you can roll out as long as you need, and if you need stop on the runway, that's through. 1 right, cleared to land, copy all.
Wow. You wanna
Okay,
see that Captain
1
Ocean
right.
after this flight?
Damn, look at that.
All right, so they roll out on the runway. And here's what happens next.
They need to clean that. That's pretty cool. That graphic is cool, especially
Heavy left turn at
especially there on the screen on the dashboard there.
You can contact the emergency vehicles on frequency 123.7.
So 7.5. Okay.
123.775. We're gonna stop on the runway. We may have a blown tire. May have words elected.
Okay, so they say they may have a blown tire. The airplane actually ended up staying right there on the runway for 48 minutes. That's a big deal at Dulles to shut down one of the main runways there, but we don't know whether they had a blown tire or not. That's the least of their concerns. Why would they have a blown tire? They're still really heavy and they're landing really fast. And so again, that's why you want to dump the fuel. So the decision by the captain earlier to dump fuel had something to do with the length of the runway they were going to need to stop in, but also the kind of heaviness of the airplane when it does touch down. You could blow a tire. If you blow a tire, you may create a secondary issue. So we don't want to do that. So we want to take the time. That's where the maturity and the experience and the judgment goes, you know.
Well, it's not just blowing a tire; it's also fading out your brakes too. You know, the heavier you are, the longer it's going to take to stop, and you'll have to be pretty much standing on the brakes, and therefore you're going to heat them up, and therefore you heat up everything else around it, like the bearing, the tire itself. I mean, you just cause a lot of problems if you're heavy, and it's the same thing with the vehicle. The heavier the vehicle, the more quicker the brakes are going to heat up, and that's why that's why most planes use like a ceramic or some kind of composite. I don't know what they're really made of, to be honest. I mean, I'm assuming ceramic pads, and I know they got multiple pads per wheel. I think it's like 16 or 20 pads or something. It's quite a bit.
What? I'll take an extra 25 or 30 minutes airborne to get rid of the extra fuel so that when I do get on the runway, I don't blow all of my tires. Now, they might have blown a tire, but that's a whole lot different than blowing all of your tires. Okay, that's going to create a secondary emergency that you don't want to deal with. So they roll all the way out. I'm assuming the tug came out, hooked them up, towed him into the gate.
Yeah.
Everybody walks away from this one. This is absolutely a master class in how to do it. A++ to my buddies over there at United. They did a fabulous job with this one. They lost an engine at the worst possible time any pilot in a large category aircraft like this, the 777, can lose an engine right after V1, but not quite at rotate. They do a masterful job of getting this thing off the ground. They handle it like pros. They communicate well. They take care of all of their priorities in the right order, and everybody should go give that captain a great big hug. Man, this was a great one. All right, folks. Well, now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. Interested in more videos about